Well, I blew my cover there. Good evening, everybody. This is the Overnight Show. I'm your host, Darth Cripple, from the Great American Northwest. I bid you all good evening, good morning, good afternoon, as the case may be, across this great land of ours and globe, really, worldwide on the internet. Tonight, we're going to talk about some fun things first and then get started with some Hades runs, I think. I originally wanted to play some Aliens Dark Descent, but I think I need a little more experience with that game before I play it in front of people. Yeah. We got some Tragic Prince for you, the opening song from Castlevania Symphony of the Night. So I hope everyone's doing good tonight. I know I'm feeling pretty good. Another Mariners win. That's the fourth one in a row, I believe. All right, so wow, Baloo, what are you talking about, dude? What are you talking about, Baloo? My little one just came in and just started talking. Now he slammed himself up in the window. We've got three stray I can speak English. We have three stray cats running around this neighborhood parking lot of my apartment complex. And there's one particular gray cat that I think has figured out there's two cats in here. And he likes to pick on both of them from outside the window. So I wonder if that's what's got Baloo so agitated. Uh, so anyway, what did I want to talk about? Well, hang on first. I'll give you this. I'll give you this close-up webcam shot. I changed the angle of my cam. That probably won't cure my virtual green screen problems, but here's the interesting thing for me. Um, I'm betting some people are wondering why I go from sunglasses to regular glasses. And that's because Um, three monitors is a little intense for my eyeballs. Uh, with my cerebral palsy, one of my eyes particularly doesn't adjust to light well enough. And so often, if I haven't sat in front of the monitors for a while, if I were to do that just straight on with my glasses and everything with no room for adjustment, I would end up with a huge headache. So you'll often see me switch between my sunglasses and my regular glasses. That's why it's not really a cool guy thing or anything like that. It's just a physical need. That's all. Um, so I just wanted to point that out in case anyone was curious, because this will probably happen throughout the process of me streaming. Um, the other thing I wanted to talk about today, and I don't know why this subject struck my fancy, but I wanted to talk about wheelchairs. Odd for like from a guy who has cerebral palsy and has walked for most of his life on forearm crutches. And pretty much in the last 10 years of my life, I became almost permanently wheelchair bound in terms of moving around outside in the world. Uh, but I was having a thought the other day because I often joke, and this happened because a friend of mine's son we were joking back and forth and throwing barbs at each other. Kids like 12 at the time. And so we were playing around, throwing barbs at each other. And he looks at me and he says, "Yeah, Josh, you could win any fight, I'm sure. Any verbal fight, I'm sure. But guess what? I can walk away from this conversation." I have never laughed so hard in my life. And for some reason, years later, because this was years ago, I'd gone up to a nice little cabin in the woods to hang out with some friends, and their son happened to be up there, and so we were hanging out. That's how this whole exchange happened. And randomly, this exchange pops up in my head every now and again. You know, when someone's kind of arguing with me, not like real ferociously, because obviously this is a joke. But it's like, so I've often said, but you can still walk away from this conversation, to kind of needle them. Well, then I really thought about it. You know, I will never, as a person that is wheelchair bound, ever get the chance to dramatically walk away from someone. What I mean is, like in the movies where you see two people fighting and one person steps over the line too much and the other one just turns and walks away, and the other guy's like, "Oh, come on, you know I didn't mean it like that." You'll never see a person in a wheelchair do that scene because, first of all, it takes forever to turn a wheelchair around. And second of all, the camera would have to hold the shot too long, so all the drama's gone out of it. So the only thing I can think of is you'd have to have a ramp set up or whatever to have that to have that go down at any reasonable speed. So I mean, these are the kind of thoughts that kept me out of the really good schools. I I don't know where that stuff comes from, man. And besides, if it's a steep ramp, you get there's a good chance you build up a lot of momentum, and then this happens. You just fall down. That's all you do. Ramp momentum is a dangerous killer, let me tell you. um, so so that was randomly in my head last night after I got off stream and I was doing some work. And that was mostly because I wanted to revisit a story I told in my first stream. And since that first stream was basically a clip show because I had mistaken some of the some of the technical settings of my stream excuse me, some of the technical setups of my stream. I ended up streaming clip show. High quality video on my end, though, in terms of the recording, but really just not very good stuff. So I wanted to reapproach this story, and considering I've titled this episode "Wheelchairs," I think this is a good way to rebroach it. So of course, my bio says I was born with cerebral palsy. That's true. All four limbs are affected. So my actual medical diagnosis is spastic quadriplegia. Although it probably isn't anymore. That people are like, you can't say spastic. I don't know. I find it funny. I find it funny. I do. Because every time I hear it, I think of a completely kind of mutilated Stretch Armstrong uh, from back in the day. That's kind of how I always saw it. But anyway, let's get into my story here. And I call this the airport story. It's my favorite. It's from about a dozen years ago. My family and I had gone back to Florida, right? We went back to Florida to see some family. It was like April 2012. And so on the way back, we had, I think it was 3 layovers, or maybe it was just two. Yeah, it was just two. I think we had one in Cleveland or Cincinnati, one of those, and then we had a layover in Colorado. And this is where the funniest event in my life on that vacation happened. I don't think I will ever have a situation that ever lines up as perfectly as this. Okay. So I get to Colorado. I am in so much back pain. I have severe scoliosis. And because my right side is stronger than my left, all the pressure, all the pressure gets put on my spinal column on the right side. So it's often just anything over 90 minutes, I am in horrific pain on car rides or anything where I have to sit up straight in sort of an L position for a long period of time. I can't do it anymore. But so I'm in Colorado. I am stretched out as flat as I can get on my stomach to try and relieve some pressure in my back. And so now I start the catch 22. What is the catch 22? Well, now I have to pee. So now I have to decide if the discomfort of having to pee is worth hanging on to so I can relax my back, so I don't have to try to travel to the bathroom. I'm a nervous peer, so I don't really want to pee in public. So I probably lay there an extra 10 minutes being like, come on, you can hold it. It's 45 minutes till the next, maybe it's an hour, to the next flight, and then you're home in 3 hours. You could hold pee for 4 hours. You've done that easy. I'm literally having this conversation with myself. And then maybe I rotate a little, but now I really have to pee. And so I get myself up into my wheelchair and I start wheeling myself to the bathroom, which is probably, I would say it's not a significant distance away. I would say tops it was like 75 yards, right? So it's not too bad, but it's kind of excruciating. Um, First of all, the wheelchair I'm in is not my normal one. I took a rental on vacation in case something happened, right? So I'm a small guy. I'm about 5'5", and the heaviest I've ever been is a little over 200. Um, the wheelchair I was in for this trip was one of the big, like the uniform ones you get at like an emergency room or something like that. Big kind of kind of floppy, almost virtually no support, because the idea is just to get someone into the hospital or out and, sort of maintain their mobility to some degree, right? So I'm in a chair I'm unfamiliar with. I'm trying to maneuver myself because I don't want anyone to go with me, because I have an even worse time if I think someone's waiting on me to finish using the bathroom. So I go by myself so I don't have to worry about that, which means I have to maneuver the chair myself, which provides my big challenge here, which is actually, maneuvering the chair, because I've got one good arm and then my left arm isn't so good, right? It doesn't work as well. So I have to keep my right arm in rhythm with my left arm. Otherwise, I'm going to be spinning a circle, and it's hilarious, like, personally, to think about it, right? You just start spinning a circle because you get too aggressive. Like, I really, really had to pee, and then suddenly I don't realize that I've let go with my left arm, which, by the way, that's actually happened to me a number of times when I was trying to maneuver my wheelchair. I just forgot that my left arm wasn't working, or wasn't actually moving me, and then I spun myself in a circle. It's pretty great, actually. Actually, pretty hilarious. But anyway, so I get up to the bathroom, right? I'm a nervous peer, but I've also got a weak stomach. So I super hate public bathrooms. I just do. So I get up there, and I'm first hit by this. There's no divider from the door. So you can see into the bathroom. You can see that most of the urinals are taken up. There's like a little bit of a divider in front of the door, but it's not, it doesn't obscure, well, no, there wasn't one at all. I've got it right. So I almost cleared the threshold, but then I notice that the handicap stall is just obliterated. Like, I'm serious. Like, it looks like Juggernaut took a crap in there. Like, the door's off, right? The door's off, and there's toilet paper either stacked up in the bowl itself and beyond the bowl, or someone put the lid down and put a whole huge pile of toilet paper on top of it. I didn't ask, I didn't check, because as soon as I saw that, I said, there's no way I can just stand at a urinal. And then as I realize I'm panicking because I have to pee, right? Now my nose gets a big whiff of the bathroom. And it's one of those public bathrooms of dense asparagus smell and definite poop. And the only thing I think is full reverse, doing the best I can to get out of there as fast as I can, because my body instantly goes, I'm going to throw up. 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 So I managed to turn myself around. And as I get started going back towards where my family is and to our terminal, I'm going, don't puke, don't puke. I'm staring at my feet and moving myself forward because I have to concentrate and try to pull my breath in while not getting too big a breath that will make my stomach think, oh, I've got enough room to go ahead and throw up. So I'm looking down at my feet, and the only thing I really see at first is this guy kind of step in front of me and then call out to me. And what he says is, and this is hysterical, what he says is, sir, I just wanted to come over here and thank you for your service. He thought I was some kind of war veteran. of all the things I've had happen to me publicly that have been embarrassing or humiliating, this was the funniest. And the first thing I remember about this guy is a ridiculous outfit that is accentuated by thick Velcro sandals with like gross fuzz covered socks. But so before I can say anything, he juts his hand out there to shake my hand. And all I was thinking until this happened was, don't puke, don't puke, don't puke, don't puke. And then as I'm shaking his hand, I go, you have to let him know you can't steal valor. And I'm like, that's literally on my mind. It's very visceral. So through not wanting to puke, through not really being able to navigate my wheelchair, plus being overwhelmed with this idea that this moron thinks I'm a veteran, I immediately blurt out, ugh. Let me try that again. Ugh, I have cerebral palsy. He doesn't apologize. He doesn't say, oh, excuse me. He looks at me and sort of walks off. I say sort of because I can't really remember that much, because I go, oh man, I managed to get through all of that and I didn't puke. So I'm kind of celebrating. And then so I got through all of that, and then the cherry on top of the whole exchange and whole situation is my sister's boyfriend at the time hears me tell this entire exchange, looks at me, and gives the most sarcastic salute I've ever seen. I have never laughed so hard in my life, but that wasn't even the bonus because I wasn't even considering the after effects of that. Like, normally, stuff like this happens where I'm interacted with by a stranger, and usually I feel utterly humiliated or embarrassed because I'm usually cringing from something they did. Okay. But it was like later on that flight, I'm thinking about it. That guy is never going to talk to anyone ever again. Like, ever again. Like, he'll go the rest of his life and interact with strangers and think about me. He'll have nightmares where he'll interact with strangers and he'll think about me. I mean, how do you get over something so mortifyingly cringe as that? I thought that was so spectacular. And I've never been able to stop thinking about it at certain times when I'm like, oh, that felt awkward. But it wasn't as awkward as that guy at the Denver airport. Now, I will give as a caveat, to be fair to him, there were veterans all over the place in uniform in Denver for some reason. I have no idea what was going on. So, I mean, assuming I was a veteran at least makes like 10% of sense, right? I'm not in uniform though. I do typically have my hair cut short, but he just assumed, and we all know what happens when you assume. But yeah, that is my personal biggest comedy story. Anyway, I think we'll get into some Hades now. I'm sufficiently raring to go. I'm cheered up. I'm a bit full of smiles. How are you guys doing tonight?